It's going to be a wild game tonight.
Hey, this is Brayden Chen. Subscribe to Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things about the St. Louis Blues here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. The Blues take on the Minnesota Wild tonight, and I have to tell you, I do not have a good feeling about this game whatsoever. I do want to talk to you, too, about some of the prospects and how they did at the World Junior Championship. And is this team playoff ready? I know what you're thinking. No, they're not. Well, let's talk about why I don't believe that they are playoff ready and why there is a small part of me that believes that they can be playoff ready. We have a lot to get to on today's episode. But I do want to let you know that you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets if you win or lose your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. So the Blues and Wild meet tonight. Yes, they are in Minnesota. And honestly, I do not feel good whatsoever about this game. The Wild are a really good team. They're one of the best teams in the NHL. There's no denying that whatsoever. So I'm not going to come on this podcast and act like I'm so confident within the St. Louis Blues, who beat the Chicago Blackhawks at the Winter Classic, who beat the Nashville Predators. You get what I'm saying? Like, this isn't a team that I feel confident in against some better teams in the NHL, right? So anyways, the Blues back in action, and there's gonna be two lineup changes. Zachary Bolduc and Justin Folk will both be back in. Folk missed 2 games with an upper body injury, but he practiced on Monday. And this is also his hometown, so it's pretty cool. He'll be paired with Philip Broberg, oh my gosh, which allows Cam Fowler to go up top with Colton Parayko, which I really do like when they're together. So that is good. Jay Falk said, it's not fun missing games. You want to be out there and trying to help the team. We're trying to find a rhythm and find our game as a team. So I got to do what I can to get back and help and stay in the lineup and try to get our game going where it needs to be. That's one thing that's true, is that the game right now doesn't have rhythm. And I know it's so ironic, rhythm and blues. I get it. But the game is choppy, especially the last game. So I think that this is the right things are being said. I'll put it that way. But in Columbus, I just noticed so much inconsistency from the beginning of the game, which is why they really need to be just more aggressive. And this is a team that has the ability to do so, but it's just a matter of finding that aggressiveness and using it into creating good style. So that is good. By the way, Bolduc, he returns after missing the one game, and he'll be with Neighbors and Sonny. So everything else is going to remain the same. Binner is going to be starting in net. So let me tell you today's lines. So first line, like usual, centering, it is Robert Thomas. To his left, it is Brandon Saad. And then to the right, it's Bushi. Finally, second line centering, it's Captain Brayden Schenn. To the left, it's Dylan Holloway. And on the right, it is Jordan Kyrou. Finally, that third line, as I said, Sonny centering, left Neighbors. And on the right, Bull Duke. Finally, that fourth line, Nathan Walker centering Alexi on the left, and then Texier on the right. So that is almost, well, not really. That's not the WTF line, but almost, right? Finally, on defense, Cam Fowler and Colton Parayko, Broberg and Jay Folk, and then Suter and Tucker and Binner and net. So no Scott Perunovich yet again. So that is tonight's lines. How do I feel about it? I feel fine. I mean, honestly, the fact that Jake Neighbors is on the third line doesn't necessarily concern me, but it just kind of surprises me because I expected Jake Neighbors to play on the first or second line. And I just feel like he hasn't been playing to the best of his ability this season. And it's something that I kind of noticed. So, at least for me, I'm a little bit disappointed with how it's been. And I don't know if anybody else has really noticed that, because I feel like it's one of those situations where you don't necessarily notice a player that isn't playing their best because there's other players catching your sight within, like a Dylan Holloway, for example. But I feel like what's being kind of not talked about with Jake Neighbors is kind of his lack of emphasis in the game. By the way, Parayko played 700 NHL games on Saturday, which have all been, of course, wearing the blue note since he's only been here in St. Louis. So Parayko said that it was really special for him to be a part of this organization for 700 games and just a first-class organization and all that. So big honor for Parayko as they start their 4-game homestand. Okay, so let's talk about one of the NHL's best teams right now, the Minnesota Wild. 25-11-4 in this season, and they're currently in the midst of a 3-game win streak heading into tonight's game. They had a shutout win over the Carolina Hurricanes for nothing, so a really good game for the Wild. This season, the Wild are 2-0-0 against the Blues, both being in St. Louis. Obviously, there's the possibility that Kirill might be out tonight because he's missed 5 games with a lower body injury, but what a great player, okay? 23 goals, 27 assists, and 50 points on the season already, okay? We're just hitting the halfway point, and that is a crazy statistic. So really good for the Wild. Also, another player that I want to talk about is Marco Rossi. He assisted on all 4 of the goals in the Wild's 4-0 shutout win over the Carolina Hurricanes on Saturday. He's on a 3-game point streak with 3 goals and 5 assists, and definitely a player that is just getting hot right now. 37 points in the season with 15 goals and 22 assists. So the Wild, I could go on and on and on about the Minnesota Wild because they are a really good hockey team. But the thing with the Wild is they're so aggressive and around the net. That's why I kind of get a little bit nervous in games like today, where I truly do believe that the Wild are going to be just on it. So it does look like Philip Gustafsson will be starting in net with Fleury backing him. Right now, looking on the Wild's website, I do not see Kirill in the lineup. So per Coach Hines, obviously players like a Mac Boldy, Joel Eriksson, Ryan Hartman, Ben Jones actually is like a little bit of like a mystery piece. On defense, obviously, you have the top pair within Jonas Brodin and then Brock Faber. So they're really good. But yeah, St. Paul, Minnesota is probably going to go see a win for their home team. I don't feel good about the Blues in any single way heading into this game. You might be thinking that's a little negative. I think complete opposite. I think that the Blues, especially against Columbus, didn't look their best. And I know Columbus is good at home. And I was actually commenting with somebody on the chat, the comments yesterday about it. The Blues actually have done quite well on the road, but I feel like as of lately, they've just been struggling altogether. So I don't know. I don't have much confidence about these current players, but I do have confidence within something else. It may not be the current players, but it might be just the prospects. And yes, I love prospect talk. You already know how much I love the NHL draft. I literally can talk about prospects all the time. It's just my cup of tea. But I'm going to talk to you about some big things that the prospects did. But I first want to talk to you about my friends over at FanDuel. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. The FanDuel app gives you everything you need for live bets, same game parlays, and so much more. Visit the website and share betting lines around your favorite team or league. So for me, because FanDuel is so great, I say Eagles -4.5 right now heading into wild card weekend. I think they're going to defeat the Packers and they are going to get the spread. So just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $200 in bonus bets at FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. So the Blues had some really exciting stuff go on earlier in the week because of the World Juniors going on. So 5 Blue prospects medaled at the 2025 World Juniors Championship. So first off, just to give you a heads up, USA did win. I have to tell you, Canada didn't do that well this year, and I know that's been a big talking point because I know hockey's centered around Canada. I get it, um, but there's just a lot of talented players that came out of the U.S. At least this year, and I feel pretty good about it. So let me talk to you about it. So, anyways, the Blues had a bunch of guys, as I said, win medals. Colin Ralph, he's taking home the gold of Team USA, while Adam Yurchek, obviously, I'm going to say, I told you Adam Yurchek was good. Andre Koss, Jacob Stansel. So let's talk more a little bit about Colin Raff and that Team USA win. All right. So, anyways, let's talk about this. So, the United States was trailing 3-1 early in the game, but put together basically a great rally to beat Finland 4-3 in OT. And this is the second consecutive medal at the tournament. Colin Raff, defenseman, he was our 48th overall draft pick in this year's draft. He had a solid presence for Team USA. And so, really good for him. Anyways, Blues prospect, Jimmy Snugs, as well. So good for him. Now, anyways, let's talk about Czech. So Czech's roster basically had a lot of Blues prospects on it, which is no surprise at all. They took home the bronze. They defeated Sweden 3-2 in the bronze medal game. Jacob Stansel, he was selected 106 overall 2023 draft, so last year's draft. And he did a great job in the tournament with 7 goals and 10 points in 7 games, including 1 goal, 1 shutout goal in the final game. So he finished the tournament first overall amongst all players in goals and tied for second in points. Fourth overall in team scoring was Blues prospect Adam Yeko, who was the 95th overall draft pick from this year's draft. This was his first World Juniors, and he had 7 points with 2 goals and 5 assists in 7 games. And obviously, my boy defenseman Adam Yurchek, the 16th overall draft pick, finished with 5 assists. And then forward, I always mess up his name, Cos, he was our 81st overall in this year's draft. He had 1 goal, and all the guys were suited up for all 7 games. Let's go talk about Sweden. All right. So, anyways, while Sweden did fall to the Czechia in the bronze medal game, Otto Stenberg, 25th overall in her 2023 draft, and Thea Lindstein, 29th in her overall in her 2023 draft, were really good for Sweden throughout the tournament. Stenberg scored twice in the semifinal match against Finland, and he had 8 points with 3 goals, 5 assists in 7 games. Lindstein was also, again, great for the I was about to say the Blues, great for Sweden on the blue line. 4 assists in 7 games. They both won a silver medal with Sweden at the 2024 tournament. We're not done yet. So Slovakia made it to the quarterfinals, but did not advance to the medal round. They did lose to Finland 5-3 to end their tournament run. However, Dalibor Dvorsky, who's on the T-Birds right now, go T-Birds. He was our 10th overall in 2023 draft. And then, you know what's, I know the names and I always say them wrong, but eventually it's going to stick. Perrick, 76 in our 2023 draft, were really good and played well. Dvorsky led all players in the tournament with 9 points with 5 goals, 4 assists in 5 games. And that was ahead of the medal round. So obviously that didn't, continue on, but he was on fire. There was a great goal that Dvorsky had, and I shared it on my Instagram at Haley T. Simon, but it just was such a fantastic goal. He is so smart on the ice. So really enjoyed seeing him play. A lot of people, and I don't know why necessarily, maybe there are some haters out there, but they said, why would a player like Dvorsky leave his team, his AHL team, to do this? And juniors is a great experience. Not only do you represent your country, but you're playing amongst the best of around your age group. And I think that's maybe initiation for some motivation. I don't know, but I do love it. I think it's so much fun to watch. And I know for me as like a hockey junkie, I love watching anything stick and puck. And you get a better look at the prospects and how they're doing, because a lot of the guys, like if they're not on the T-Birds, you're realistically not going to see them play much. I know personally, sometimes with the time zones, it's a little hard to see all of our prospects out there. So this is a great way to kind of keep up and see how they're doing and how they're progressing. But obviously, I can't help but be excited. Team USA winning, it's great. I mean, happy, as I said, for Snugs and Ralph, but back-to-back champions is something huge. And that's what makes me most excited. And I think, too, with a player like Jakob Stansel, I guess that's how you actually say it. I don't know. The fact that he finished amongst all players in goals and he's tied for second in points is a big thing, because prior to those medal rounds, Dvorsky was leading in points. So, at least in my humble opinion, having the Blues prospects be so dominant in this tournament does solidify to me that maybe this team really is 2 to 3 years away from being a good team again. Because right now it does not look that way with the current team and how they're actually doing. But this was a really good way for these guys to be showcased. And I want to say, though, that, yeah, so let me go think for a second. So, anywho, yeah, I think all the goals and clips you can find on Twitter and YouTube. Because I bookmarked a lot of them on Twitter for my own self just to rewatch. So you can definitely check it out there if you want to have maybe some reference as to, how, Dvorsky looked, or, some of the other guys, Juracek even. And Juracek, by the way, I know that he kind of dropped in the draft in value because of his injury and stuff, but he is a really strong player on defense. And I do believe that if it wasn't for his injury, he would have been like a top 10 pick. I do. I really believe that. You might say, Hale, you're stretching a bit on that one. But I mean, his ability to read the puck, his aggressiveness on the blue line, it's really something big, and something that the Blues definitely need to have in their future. So having a player like him is nothing but good things at all. However, as much as I love talking about our prospects and how they're doing, I need to talk about this current team. And is this current team playoff ready? Well, let me go talk to you about something that I know is ready for you, and then I'll get into that. This is Rocket Money. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? Well, that definitely happened to me. I had a few subscriptions that I didn't even realize I was still paying for, and Rocket Money made it so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's your subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of 500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's premium features. For me, one of the best features is the subscription tracker. I've used it to cancel services I wasn't using anymore. I've already saved a ton. Plus, with their goals feature, I've been able to automatically set aside money for my future. No more stressing out about budgeting every month. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/locked on today. That's rocketmoney.com/locked on. Rocketmoney.com/locked on. Is this current Blues team playoff ready? The short answer is no. The long answer is no. And that's today's episode. No, I'm joking. No. In all seriousness, I know that I talked a lot about the playoffs and hitting that point in the season, but I honestly am coming to the senses that this team isn't going to do what they need to do in January in order to be a playoff team by the time the playoffs come by in the spring. I am sympathetic because I do think that the team has improved in certain ways. However, at the end of the day, this team isn't doing enough defensively. They're not aggressive enough. They're not good when it comes to special teams. And I can't take what they did in the Winter Classic as them being this dominant team because they were playing against one of the worst teams in the NHL. So I think for me, looking at this team, no, they're not playoff ready. Even if they go on like a 5-game win streak, I still think I would feel the same. I think that when you have players that could be great in the playoffs, I think Thomas would be great in the playoffs, Kyrou, Holloway, obviously, Binner, but Parayko, Fowler. But other than that, I can't confidently say. And I think that the bottom two lines, the bottom six, I guess you can call it, not impressive. I still don't think Tyler Tucker has what it takes, but I guess it's better than Perunovic. The point is, I think there is a lot emphasizing a lot that this team needs to work on to improve to become a playoff team. Now, it is entirely possible for the Blues to be a playoff team if they make the right moves, which I know what you're thinking. I'm going to say the word, which means a rebuild. And I'm not saying get rid of Robert Thomas necessarily, but maybe just try to move some of the other guys like Bushi. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, well, some of these guys haven't done that much wrong. It's not about right or wrong. It's literally about how can it benefit the team. And the team isn't going to benefit by having the same players next season. It's not. You know, you've had 3 coaching changes in the past year, right? Which is a lot. So I think at the end of the day, you just need, and I'm just so honest about this, you need a rebuild. You gave Coach Montgomery a 5-year contract. You don't give a coach a 5-year contract if you don't have a bigger plan in sight. And for me, that screams a rebuild. So we'll see, but this trade deadline will be interesting. The offseason will be interesting. But with how the NHL is right now, I can't say they have a chance of making it to the playoffs. I mean, obviously there's a chance, but I actually want to go on a chart, right? NHL playoff odds. You know, it's funny. I do this like every single year on Money Puck because I just like to see the odds. And for instance, like a team like Washington, the Golden Knights, Edmonton, Toronto, like 99%, right? Then you go down to us, 30% chance, which honestly is better than I thought. I mean, Ottawa is above us, but I mean, you know, we shut them out. Yeah, so we have, huh. So interesting. So Minnesota doesn't have a really good chance of winning the cup, even though they're one of the better teams. They won't even show us here in St. Louis. 30% chance of making the playoffs. Okay. Who has a 1% chance? Columbus has a 1%. 17 is the Islanders. 7% is the Penguins. Yeah. I guess the next closest team to us would be the Flyers or 33%. Always line up against them, which is so weird, right? Okay, so if the Blues, I'm trying to like get this thing to go. If we make it to the finals, we have a 1.15%. So yeah, just call us Stanley Cup champions now. If we win the cup, it's a 0.6% chance. So I mean, I'm not saying that the odds are in our favor, but like obviously, the team that has the best chance to win Lord Stanley is Edmonton with 17%. So yay! We definitely won the offer sheets. No, I mean, we did, but you get what I'm saying. All right. I will talk to you tomorrow for probably a loss, but it is what it is. Oh, and I always give a score prediction. I think tonight Philip Broberg will score. All right, I'll see ya. Bye. Let's go Blues.